What if I told you your job in fast food is the vehicle to get you to your dreams? Case in point, I have always wanted to be a writer. I knew I wanted to be a writer when I was in 5th grade, and I knew I wanted to be a professional football player. Well, let me tell you something. In September of 2023, I went from being a late shift sandwich artist to 17 months later overseeing 16 stores as a senior district manager. And in between that time, I became an Amazon best-selling author and a professional football player. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do just that. So let's talk about something that might blow your mind. In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins outlines something called the hedgehog concept. And what the hedgehog concept is, it's a combination of three things. One, what you have the potential to be the best in the world at, what drives your economic engine, which is an incredibly fancy term for what makes you money, and three, what you are deeply passionate about. So, number one, best in the world. Best in the world? What do you mean? What do you mean I can be the best in the world? Well, I'm a moron, and I went from making $13 an hour to $75K in a year. Now, that doesn't put me on any big name podcasts, but hey, relatively speaking, I was very, very good at what I did. And you can be as well. Because the fact of the matter is, the potential for growth and ascension, which is a fancy term for climbing up the corporate ladder, in QSR, quick service restaurants, fast food, is phenomenal. You can very much be the best drive-through cashier on the planet. You very much can be the best food champion on the planet. You very much can be the best digital host as the guests come in the front door on the planet. All it takes is for you to just give a damn. That's it. That's all it takes is you to give a damn, and that already separates you from 95% of your coworkers and the competition. So don't tell me that you cannot be the best in the world in your current position in your fast food concept, or whatever it might be. Taco Bell, McDonald's, Papa John's, doesn't matter. You absolutely have the opportunity to be the best in the world, and look no further than the guy talking to you right now. Okay, so number two is what drives your economic engine, which again is just a fancy term for saying it makes you money. Because let's be honest, you have dreams. We all have dreams, okay? But are they paying your bills? Are they buying you groceries? Or are they something that you just haven't attained yet? Because I don't know about you, but I'm not one to argue with reality. And the reality is your job right now is your economic engine. It does pay the bills. So you might want to lean into that. Just a thought. And then number three is passion. Now you might be saying, what are you talking about? I'm not very passionate about this job. I hate this job. Well, two things with that. One, then why are you still in it? And then number two, I'm going to show you how you can become passionate about that in just a little bit. But here, in this terrible drawing, is the hedgehog concept. It's a combination of what you can be the best in the world at, what makes you money, and what you're passionate about. Okay? Moving on. Now, what Collins also talks about, once you've identified your hedgehog, which is your position right now in the fast food industry, that is the thing that you begin to gain momentum with, what he calls the flywheel concept. And then other things can spin off of that, i.e. your dreams. So again, taking myself as an example, I became a best-selling author not before I got into QSR, but after. I became a professional football player not before QSR, but after. So once I got really good at QSR and started just doubling down on what I was good at, actually giving a damn about the job, then you can see that that was what started to build momentum and was my flywheel that all these other things spun off of. Amazon best-selling author, professional football player, keynote speaker on self-sabotage. I have a podcast, and then I've launched into a different brand altogether. I'm now with one of the largest Taco Bell franchises in the entire country. So the fact of the matter is, once you identify and you accept, is probably the better word, what your hedgehog is, and you go all in on that, that is the flywheel that everything else begins to become a result of. Your dreams, for example. Okay? Now, how do you do it? How do you do all that? Well, I'm going to tell you about it. So we talked about the hedgehog concept. We talked about the flywheel. And with the flywheel, we have to understand that every shift has a story. I'm a writer, so I'm always looking for stories. But you don't have to be a writer to pull content from every single shift that you're on. There's content all around you. There's pieces to pull from all day, every day. There was a shift last night where we had 448 transactions, 448 opportunities to pull something from an interaction with a customer that you can begin to build content or a story or a piece, whatever the case may be, for your dreams. Number 3, mix business with pleasure. So every time that you're outside of work, start looking for ways to inject work into it. For me, it was catering. And you might say, well, I'm not with Subway. I don't cater. I beg to differ. We've already started catering and I'm with Taco Bell now. So don't use that as an excuse. Thank you very much. Now you might be saying, well, when I'm not at work, I don't want to work. I want to do everything else besides work. And that's fine, but hear me out. When you inject work into opportunities and activities, everything else that you're doing outside of work, well, then you're effectively getting paid to play, which is exactly what I was doing when I sought out opportunities on the football field and as a track athlete at my alma mater, Grand Valley State, just up the road. What am I saying? We became the official catering partners for my professional football team and Grand Valley track and field. So while I wasn't at work, I was able to do things that I found enjoyable, like being a professional football player, and my bosses couldn't have cared less about it. Why? Because I was mixing business with pleasure. And then the more that you do that and the more that you are literally paying yourself to play, then QSR starts to become your passion. And the more that you do that, well then, hey, then the more that this starts to happen here. And that is how you can go from making minimum wage to making one hell of a living, but more importantly, being in the vehicle that you're in right now to get you to your dreams. So in review, number 1, identify and accept that QSR is in fact your hedgehog concept. Number 2, start gaining traction and momentum with the flywheel concept, and you'll start to see these other areas, your dreams, become byproducts of your expertise and effort and giving a lot of damns in your QSR job. And when you do that, then you'll start mixing business with pleasure. And then once that happens, you're getting paid to play, and life is pretty damn good at that point. So if you thought this was insightful, helpful, give you some alignment and clarity instead of just feeling stuck where you're at, then please go ahead and like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, subscribe to the Artistic Warrior newsletter. I'll put that link in the bio, where I'm going to give you not only a podcast once a week, it's called Wednesday to Tuesday, but I'm also going to give you a tip from the track because I'm an athlete, and I'm also going to give you a writing prompt because I'm a published author that you can take with you to sharpen your sword on the job next week and get you even closer to your dreams, which is what we all want.